My name is Molly Casey, and this is my ultimate office design. The mission for this project is to design an ultimate office with a bathroom and communal meeting space for my company, Molly Casey Designs. The vision for this project is for visitors and employees to feel comfortable and important in my office space. In my space, clients will experience one-on-one attention with a designer and feel as they are an important part of the project that they give us. My office will feature a casual yet professional environment, but with a homey vibe that the clients will feel relaxed and accepted in. The welcoming environment will invite visitors to be a part of the design process and welcome their input and ideas on their project. So my theme is in this together. So for my persona profiles, I have me as the designer and my client, James. And what makes James the ideal client is that he knows what he wants and came to a designer to help him achieve and get what he wants out of it. So he comes with ideas and is an ideal client, basically. My design style is mid-century modern, which includes contemporary patterns, a lot of wood textures, warm and earthy colors, a lot of wide bare windows, and patios and a lot of open space, which I included in my design. This is a mood board for my design strategy. I have a lot of mid-century modern furniture and wood materials that I included. So my design inspiration is Paul McCobb, which was a famous furniture designer in the 1950s. He made a lot of basic residential furniture, which had a lack of ornamentation, so it was very basic and simple. I decided to utilize his furniture designs, a lot of them, just because I think they really enunciate my design style, and I changed them up a little bit just so they can suit my office more, but I kept a lot of the original designs. So this is an overhead view of my office. This is the bubble map, so the entrance is blue to the left, is where people will come in initially, and we'll go from there. This is my first render, so this is directly when you walk in the door. You see a sign that tells you where you are, and a reception desk with a reception person that they'll greet you when you enter, and you'll get to wait in the waiting room for no more than 10 minutes. That's the waiting room. This is right when you pass the waiting room into the main lobby space. This is the opposite view from the lobby space, but it's directly opposite from where the other one was. This is directly when you enter my office. This is the desk area, and this is the presentation area, and this is them in relation to each other. They're very close to each other, so can go between spots whenever you need. So for my events of the experience, the approach is that visitors will initially become aware of my services from either knowing me directly or seeing an ad for my services online. Becoming aware of my office is another step, having to either come in or call and make an appointment for a meeting with me. And visitors will arrive in the parking lot and park near the front door of the facility. When the first time client arrives and walks through the front door, a friendly receptionist will greet them and usher them into the waiting area to inform them how the office runs and what to expect. While they're being ushered into the waiting area, the receptionist will offer the visitor a tablet to use while waiting to look for inspiration or ideas that they might want to bring up during the meeting to communicate their ideas and to feel more a part of the design process and an active member of the project. Typically, they'll only spend about 10 minutes in the waiting area. So, moving to the destination, after waiting no more than 10 minutes, the designer will get the visitor from the waiting area and usher them into their office, moving past the partial wall separating the reception and waiting area, revealing the larger space in the lobby area through the office. The arrival to the target destination, so once they're walking in the door of the office with the designer, the client will sit down in the chairs next to the designer's desk. Whether or not this is the client's first appointment or returning client, the meeting will start at the desk. So for the target activity during the meeting, the clients will work with the designer personally to design critical design decisions involving their project. I want this to be immersive in a way that the customer feels like they are an important part of the project and that they are there making decisions and explaining exactly what they want and what they expect out of this project. After the initial appointment, the returning appointment will start with the presentation area, and they can get a presentation of exactly what the designer has been working on and discuss it from there. A side trip that someone could take is to a restroom is a common side trip, and that's not only the client but also all users of the space will have to visit at some point if they're staying for long periods of time. It's located centrally right next to my office, and it is a really convenient walk from my office and is close to the waiting area and reception desk as well. A secondary activity, so while at the appointment there are 2 meeting spaces, one on the inside and one outside, where the client and designer can meet in a more comfortable and open area that they choose. This may be if the meeting goes long. It's nice to have a change in the environment after being in a small office for an extended period of time, and it just gets the creative juices flowing when you switch up your environment. So moving towards the exit, after the meeting comes to the end, the designer will walk the client back to the waiting area and to reassure a client about what they accomplished that day. They are reminded to keep in touch and are sent off with a friendly goodbye. After the initial appointment, the client will still be in contact with the designer until their project is done, in the form of either email or over the phone. The point of this is to be informed during the whole process and able to pitch in ideas or examples that they think would improve their design at any time. So these are my traffic flow maps, one being the client and one being the designer. They're similar, but the designer goes more places just because they're in charge, and if they needed, they would usher a client with them. Overall, the circulation flow is similar to the individual users, but there will rarely be more than 5 people in my office at the same time, so it won't really be that busy ever. So my responsive space for the occasion, the people who come into my office space will be there to discuss and participate in a design job that they would want done. The players are the insiders, are me and my employees, and the visitor is the clients who come in and get work done. The insiders are casual yet organized and professional. Some resources: the interior environment will feel comfortable and accepting, no matter the budget of the client. The client will feel as utmost importance in this space. The surroundings in my office, there will rarely have more than 5 people in the building, so the client will feel as utmost importance in the space, not intimidated by other people in the space. Initial impressions. So through the front door is the initial arrival space, including the reception desk and logo wall. This serves as a transition between the outside and what lies beyond the facility. This is what every user sees as they enter the front door. My brand is important, so the large sign as they walk through the door grabs their attention and assures them that they're in the right place. So for my paths and nodes, my main path is to the most prominent destinations, including my office, the employee offices, and those are the paths taken by every single user. A secondary path in my space would go to the bathroom and the balcony, because not everyone will go there, but still an open path. A node along the path is where most paths cross, is the indoor meeting area. So most people will walk through that area when they're in my facility. This is where people can have conversations and they can meet outside my office itself to connect with clients or coworkers. The function of my space, I applied 2 functional areas in my space. My desk is one facing the client chairs. They're in close relation to each other to provide a more intimate experience with the client. The couch and armchair on the opposite corner are used for a place for clients to sit while I present work on the big screen for a better view of their project. For spatial definitions, I use different flooring and rugs to define different areas in my space. The biggest space is the lobby and entrance, and it has a light wood floor, while in the rooms and offices have a darker wood flooring. In addition, the rugs in my office and in the lobby area use two-dimensional definition to define different seating and meeting spaces apart from each other. In my office itself, the edge of the corner wall in my square space is used to define the different areas in my office, one being my desk and client meeting area, while the other features a couch and a TV presentation area. The edge of the wall really divides the two spaces apart from each other. For spatial texture, a big part of my design is wooden textures. In my office, I have a defining wall that separates two spaces in my office. I had decided to make a wooden accent wall to incorporate my design style. I wanted this wall to stand out since it's a big part of defining my office space. It's also common in mid-century modern design to have mainly white walls, so all the other walls in my space are smooth white walls to contrast the wood and ceiling floors. Place and space. My facility itself is a place composed of subspaces with a purpose, like offices to work in and meeting areas to meet and talk outside of the office settings. There are 3 destination places in my office. The domains or basic destinations of my facility are the 3 offices, mine and 2 employees. There are recognizable boundaries for these areas, which include walls and doors. For space relationships, as head designer, my office will be in the center of the building, while my employee offices are next to each other, but adjacent to mine. The balcony outside is not centered to the whole building, but rather centered around the 3 offices. The balcony itself is relatively small, and the outdoor meeting spaces are nearest to the door for easy access. But there is an empty space to the left that has an absence of furniture for activities where more space is needed. In the lobby, the waiting room is placed partially behind the wall to give it a sense of wonder for first-time client waiting in the waiting room, and giving a bigger sense of payoff once they are ushered around the wall into the bigger lobby space. My office is completely encapsulated within the walls of the space, following the mid-century modern design. In addition to many bare windows are supposed to give it a sense of openness and a natural motif, while at the same time not feeling too claustrophobic. The lobby, however, features a partial wall that separates the waiting area from the rest of the building. I left this a partial wall extending about 3/4 the width of the office and leave an opening so that the rest of the office is partially visible from the waiting area. For form, my shape of my individual office is a recognizable square, but uses segmentation to make it an incomplete shape. Enough of the square shape is showing so that visitors can complete the shape in their mind, but my entire office is based off a rectangle shape. My office itself is sized to be on the functional size scale, but I would say the lobby and the rest of the space would be almost on a generous scale. All the rooms except for the bathroom have 20-foot high ceilings to feel more spacious and open. After coming in from the lobby into my smaller space office, I want people to feel more as my office is more of an intimate space and having the client sitting in close relation to the designer so they can give more one-on-one attention to the client. For enrichment and expression, when users enter my space for the first time, I want them to feel relaxed. I want the mid-century modern furniture to express my style as the designer, as well as expressing the overall feeling of my office to be a homey vibe in an unconventional office setting. I want my office to stand out and be remembered for being a friendly, close-knit experience in a very unconventional, differential kind of way. I don't want the users of my space to feel as they're confined to one area. The open space floor plan in the lobby communicates freedom allowed in the given space, and I want the client to feel in charge of every aspect of their visit in my office, and to feel free to voice any opinions or thoughts that they may have about anything while they're visiting. So for order, my design produces relatively formal order in a way that my office and employee offices are the same shape, making them predictable before walking into them. The many large windows in my space provide order as well, giving them a sense of direction, with all open space shedding light into all spaces in my building. Even if there were no windows on that wall, the place would seem more unorganized because it would seem like there's something on the other side of the wall people can't see, and that's why my office is set up so that distinctive parts like the office themselves are easier to spot given the large walls that enclose them from the rest of the space. For my colors and materials, my office utilizes a raw and natural material palette with heavy use of wood materials. With mid-century modern, what makes it look more modern is the use of white, smooth textures as well. Overusing the wood textures makes space look dated and old. So the key to use the right balance between wood textures and smooth textures to make the space look more modern and new, yet traditional. So for my logo and pattern, my pattern and logo utilize a mid-century color palette to match my office design. To make this pattern, I started using the letters K and C, and this is what happened. It kind of got far from that, but it looks a lot like a mid-century pattern. I think it really matches the style of the time, and I kind of incorporated those colors into my office, the blues and the yellows on top of the earthy colors that are already included in there. So for my landmark, I put this large 70s sun style clock in front of this now opposite wall to the waiting area. So once you enter the main space, you'll be able to see it, and it's a good meeting space. It's right where all of the paths come together, a main node where everyone can meet right in central location. So it's a good landmark. For my design process, for understanding, I'd say the essential purpose of my office is to make a space where designers and clients can physically meet and communicate their ideas. The goal is to bring clients to a comfortable, relaxing environment, not only to get to know them personally, but also discuss their ideas on their project. The most important physical presence in my facility is my personal office. This is where clients and the designer can comfortably sit and discuss their ideas while a computer is right in front of them. For ideation, I'd say my main concept for my design is to emphasize collaboration and socialization between clients and designers. My facility is mostly composed of meeting spaces that double as work areas to the designer themselves. The many meeting spaces all have a different feel to them, so depending on the client, there may be a certain meeting space, such as outside on the balcony, that the client would better react to rather than being cooped up in a small office. For development, after I develop my main concept, I design a map that fulfills my requirements and matches my design style. This is where everything comes together. I develop a plan with what kind of flooring I will have, how high the ceilings are going to be, and the lighting of the place. All the ideas are thought of before I output the final design. And that's it. Thank you.